We'll take you to Virginia now. One Democratic lawmaker is introducing a new bill which would make it a crime for a parent or a guardian not to affirm their child's sexual orientation or gender identity. The bill would expand the state's definition of child abuse and neglect, making it possible for parents to face a felony or misdemeanor charge if they do not accept their child's gender or sexual identity. Now, the move, you might ask, why is it happening now? Allegedly comes in response to Republican Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin's updated model policies on transgender students, which would require students to use bathrooms and join sports teams based on their sex at birth, as opposed to their gender identity. Tiffany Polifko is a Loudoun County School Board candidate. She's a mom of two, and she joins us now. Tiffany, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. What are your top-line thoughts of this proposed legislation?
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I'd like to first start off by discussing how we got here. And this is really not unlike clinical psychologist Jordan Peterson's description of incremental encroachment. This is really what has happened. And in the field of behavior analysis, we would call this desensitization. So it really started off with sexually explicit books coming into our school libraries. And then when parents took issue with that and said, enough, we were pushed too far, things kind of settled down for a little bit, and you didn't really hear a whole lot about it. And then the encroachment continued onto model policies in the state of Virginia last year in August 2021, in which Loudoun County and other school districts across Virginia adopted policies that would allow students to use any restroom they choose and would allow students to be called by any name that they choose and use any pronouns that they choose, unbeknownst to their parents. Parents are not happy with this. They don't like this. And again, along with the lines of incremental encroachment, what happens with this is people push and push and push until there's uproar, until people say enough. Well, they didn't get their way, and people did say enough. But what they did was they continued to push. And so now we're in a situation where we have had these adopted policies in place for over a year in the state of Virginia. And now what do we have? We have Delegate Guzman coming forward and saying that she is going to introduce a bill that would criminalize parents for not affirming their children's gender identity. And this is why what we're seeing is called incremental encroachment. And what we have to ask is, when does it end? It will not end. They will continue to push until we, the parents and the caregivers and the ones in charge of our children, stand up and say no more. And that is why I'm running for school board. And I encourage parents all across this country to stand up and be bold and have the courage to say enough. We are not co-parenting with the government, and I have fundamental rights as a parent.
Yeah, and again, just talking about this proposal by Delegate Elizabeth Guzman, the fact that this has made it on the docket here, right, that we've got to this point where parents could be charged of child abuse, essentially if they weren't to recognize an LGBTQ son or daughter. Does this delegate believe that she knows better than the parents when it comes to dealing with these conversations within the House?
Well, that's certainly what it seems like we're dealing with. And we have seen this from people in positions of power for quite some time now. We are watching just as a school district in Loudoun County, and I know we are not the only ones. This is happening all across the country. People are in positions of power, and they are wielding their power to overreach. This is not the job of the government. It is not the job of the government to make decisions in the best interest of children that are not their own. And these are the people that pass policies that pay no consequences for when they go bad.
We are less than a month away from the November midterms. How do you think proposed legislation such as this bill would play into parental turnout this cycle?
I think that what we are seeing right now is a massive wave of parents who do not like what's been happening. We are seeing, really, I think what we're seeing is the desensitization plan gone bad, and the incremental encroachment gone bad. They have pushed too far. And it is my hope that parents across the board will stand up and come out and vote and say no, because that's what really has to happen. These people need to be voted out.
To be clear, the proposal would expand the definition of child abuse to include inflicting physical or mental injury on children due to their gender identity or sexual orientation. We'll continue to follow this story. Tiffany Polifko joining us with her thoughts and opinions on the matter. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.